Where you're from does not ever determine, what your future is going to be, what your destiny is going to be when it comes to actually creating that path or creating what it is that you want your life to be moving forward. Because it's very easy to, say, oh, I grew up like this. My father wasn't around, this and that, because these are all things that are very true in my story. Like, and I share this too because um, when I was 9, I started living with my grandmother because my at the time my mother was addicted to drugs. So not only was my mother addicted to drugs, but I had a very verbally abusive grandfather who told me that I was going to be a drug addict on the street. I was going to end up just like my mom. I wouldn't graduate high school. Any negative thing that you can think of, I was told at an early age. And now, as a kid, 9 or 10 years old, uh, I kind of took that as motivation. And that was definitely one of the things that motivated me to be as consistent and resilient as I have been. But during those times, and there's definitely times where I felt, discouraged, where I felt like, maybe I should just quit. Maybe he's right. Maybe I am going to be a bum on the street. You have those thoughts. You go through those emotions. But it's the ability to bounce back, the resilience, and when you're at your lowest, moment, being able to kind of dig a little deeper and move forward. Because as an entrepreneur, as great as it would be to have like all of the support of your family and all of your friends and everybody's buying your product and everybody's supporting you, it doesn't work out that way all the time. So as an entrepreneur, you have to believe in yourself 100%, even when nobody else is believing in you. So that's going to be also very, very, very important as you embark on the entrepreneurial journey. And again, I like to share that story and that information because it's very cliche, but if I can do it, anybody can do it, and that's the reason I like to share that story. Any questions about any of that?
Word, I can relate to some extent with you, Lamar. Thank you so much for
Okay.
sharing. Some people don't understand that.
Yeah.
When you don't share, you think that you're the only person with that problem. But once you share, you find out like magic, almost like magic.
Hmm.
Other people are in the same boat. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate you opening and sharing that with us. That's one of the things, as an entrepreneur and running your own business, like you get to write that story. So you get to determine how I'm going to deal with customers. How is my customer service going to be? How is my product going to be? What is the culture? What is it that I want to put out into the world? What is that thing I want to put out there? So you have full control over that. Some things there's just things that you don't have control over, and there's really nothing you can do about certain things. But the things that you can control, those are the things that you really want to focus the energy on. And I talk a lot about it because, like, even in the book, one of the lines says, he's done all he can, and that's all he can do. Your dreams are your guide. Remain humble and true. You have a choice, so choose what life is. Where you're from is not you. That's just where it begins. You have a choice. Stay down or try again. It's simple. It's not easy. Either you do it or you do it. And that is definitely like I guess a theme or a motto of how I do business, of how I try to live life on a daily basis. And once you're able to kind of let that go and understand, hey, I just can't control everything, and I'll focus on controlling the things that I do have control over. Yeah, a lot less stress in your life. Make sense?
It does. It does.
Cool, cool, cool. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead. Who's that?
It's Brandy.
Brandy. Okay, go ahead, Brandy.
Well, I don't have a business myself personally, but I help my friends. I have a couple of friends that run a business, so I help them with theirs.
Okay.
And they're always telling me that they're having trouble with their friends or family saying that they want stuff for free. What advice would you have for them to counter that? Because I know it's a big problem.
All right, that is a great question. All right, so again, you as an entrepreneur, you really find out early on the people that say they support you and the people that really support you, that truly support what it is that you do. Um, as an entrepreneur, if you have a product or service, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's okay to give things out for free because people have to know about your business. People have to know what it is that you do. I've given away a lot of free stuff, especially in the beginning, because I was just trying to get people to try the sauce, to try it out. But you have to definitely start drawing a line when it gets to a point that they're just kind of taking advantage of the situation and are not really supporting what you do. You will lose a lot of friends or so-called friends uh, in the process because everybody's not supposed to go with you. Everybody is not supposed to elevate to the level that you're going. A lot of people don't see the vision, and it's not until things start moving and you start being somewhat successful, then they start to kind of come around. So I would say to them not to be afraid of losing those so-called friends, because for the ones that won't support you, I guarantee you, if you stick to it and keep doing what you're doing, the people that will support you will continue to support you, and those are the people that you focus on. So I wouldn't lose any sleep over being able to say no, and no is a good thing sometimes. Make sense, Brandy?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Yeah. That is okay to say no. Good question. Good question. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Sydney, I see you.
So when you were going to launch your sauce line, was
Mm.
HEB like your preferred choice?
Good question. All right. So first of all, when I started, um, it's going to be important to kind of dream big, right? Now, obviously, I didn't have any idea on how I was going to get into any stores or whatever when I started,
Yeah.
but I knew. Now, mind you, remember, I'm not from Texas,
Right.
but as I moved here and I saw that like HEB was the store,
Yep.
immediately I was like, man, if I'm gonna do it, like HEB is where I want to be. Like I want to be in HEB. That's my goal. I want to get into HEB.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, again, those thoughts definitely crossed my mind. How am I gonna do that? How am I gonna compete with these big barbecue sauce businesses? I'm a small guy. I don't have, the funds or the resources to compete with these big, barbecue sauce companies. How is it going to get done? I definitely tried to talk myself out of it more than once. And but everything in me kept saying, you know what? If you're gonna do it, like, let's really do it. Let's figure out how to get it done.
Yeah.
Now the first store that my first opportunity where somebody actually bought my product, a store or retail, was actually a local farmers market here in Westlaco.
Oh.
So I started out first with just friends and family, letting people try it, doing it at cookouts, and then some of those friends and family saying, hey, you know what are you doing with this? Can I buy it? So
Yeah.
back to what you were saying, Brandy, and just to kind of go back to that, you know, these were people that said that they supported me, but not only said that they supported me, but they showed, they put some action behind it, and they would actually buy this stuff. Now, if I have to show you guys the first bottle that I started selling the sauce in, right? You're probably gonna laugh at me, and then we'll get
The
back to your
shampoo,
story. Huh? The shampoo bottle.
the
Who's
shampoo
been in one of
bottle.
my presentations? You must have been in one of my presentations before. All right, but I have to show it to you guys. So give me 1 second. Let me grab that. All right. So very first bottle. Take a look at this, Sydney and Brandy.
Oh wow.
This versus this.
Wow.
Which one would you buy? This one, right? so so uh just imagine what what I had to how much confidence I had to have to try to sell this thing, and just how many no's I got when I was trying to sell sauce in this bottle. But again, the folks that say they support you versus the people that actually put action behind it is going to be a huge difference, and that's who you want to focus on. So at this point, the good thing about this is this gave me a lot of room to grow. And one thing as an entrepreneur, something else I like to really chime in on is being teachable, and understanding that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
So being able to take constructive criticism, being able to not get offended when people are trying to help you improve. Now, everybody's not trying to help you improve. You do get those people that are just kind of throwing shade, that are just just trying to discourage you. But
Right.
you will run into those people that
True.
genuinely want to see you win, and you want to surround yourself with like-minded people. You want to surround yourself with people that want to see you win, and that's something that you can control. You don't
Yeah.
have to sit around and listen to somebody being negative about your dream and your vision. So that's just a very important lesson in general. Now, going back to HEB, so junior farmers markets, friends and family. Then I started doing farmers markets, and then the very first store that I got in was actually Junior Supermarket.
Oh,
Um, so now Juniors, if you guys are not familiar, they have about 7 or 8 locations across the valley, and that was the first supermarket that I got into. And this actually happened right before I got into HEB. Prior to HEB, I tried to get a meeting with somebody in HEB. I tried to get somebody within HEB to try my product. I couldn't get a phone call back. I couldn't get an email. They
wow.
wouldn't wave at me like nothing.
Yeah.
And then HEB does something called the Primo Pick Contest.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with that at all? Give me like a
Uh,
thumbs up or a yes or something. Um,
Yes, sir.
Yes, definitely.
okay, so the Primo Pick Contest came around, and I ended up entering the first year, and I didn't get in. I didn't make it into the contest the first year. Second year that I entered the contest, I actually make it into the contest, and I make top 25 out of the state in the state of Texas. So they picked the top 25 products in the state of Texas. I make it into that contest. They have a grand prize, first, second, and third place. Um, I go up there. I had just gotten my package and retail ready. I'm a fairly new company. Everybody else there been in business 15, 20 years. Recipes passed down through the family. And here I was uh, with my, own recipe, just getting started. And now after the presentation, I felt pretty good about it. There was some good feedback, a lot of smiles and feedback on the product and the presentation. But that day, I didn't win anything. So I was top 25, but I didn't win anything in the contest. So immediately I thought, okay, well, there goes my opportunity to be in HEB, is what I felt. So I was kind of like, okay, now I need to go back to the drawing board and figure out, what I need to do to make that happen. But not even a week after the contest, I get a phone call from HEB saying, hey, we definitely want to do business with you. And they actually started me out in 169 stores. So I went from doing about 24 bottles at a time in my kitchen to about 400 bottles at a time with a co-packer, and dealing with that part of it and being able to kind of actually get into HEB and keep up with that demand.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Sydney, you have to be crazy enough to dream big,
Wow.
because if you don't, uh, the alternative is, being mediocre, which I
Mhm.
don't think anybody in here wants to do. I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, I want to be mediocre today." I don't think that's what we do. So being crazy, I was at the time, I was just crazy enough to feel like, what, I can, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. It also helps when you don't really have any other options, and this is it. Like, I don't have a plan B. Like, this is it. It has to work, and having that mentality, even when you feel like you really don't know how you're going to get it done.
Right.
Make sense, Sydney?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think HB is probably the best place to sell it, especially here in Texas, because it's like Texas HEB barbecue. Like
That's
it's
right.
trained with
That's
people.
right. They're like synonymous, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, HEB. And then another thing about HEB, which is really great, that HEB does, and I definitely try to model, what I do behind some of the stuff that they do as far as their involvement in the community. HEB is such a charitable organization and business, and it shows, just with everything they do. They go above and beyond. There's a certain level of prestige. There's a certain level of just a certain level of how they do business, and that's a great, example of somebody that's just really involved, and somebody that's just doing it different from everybody else in the business.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. That was a great question. And any other
Yes,
questions?
Lamar, I have a question.
Go ahead.
My name is Alan Quintana, and I was
Okay.
gonna ask you, Lamar,
Uh-huh.
how much revenue does your company does, and for that revenue, how do you keep like repeat customers? How do you attract new ones, or what's better to keep repeat customers or attract new ones, or and do you have an idea?
All right. Give me 1 second. I gotta show you something else. Hold on
Okay.
1 second. Don't go nowhere, Al.
Yes.
All right, I'm back. I'm back.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Hold on 1 second. All right. So as far as revenue, I'm just gonna tell you that I make more money with the barbecue sauce than I do working my job. Right.
That's great.
All right, Vic.
Hey,
All
I,
right.
that's great. That's great.
Can you read what that says?
Yeah, it's 1,000 by 1,000.
All right. So so I show that because all right, so my first year in HEB was in 2016, was the first year that I hit the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Uh by before the end of 2018,
2018.
I had already done over $1 million in sales in HEB,
How
right?
much?
Over $1 million at
Oh,
that
okay.
point. That belt buckle was just $1 million club. Once you hit like $1 million, it kind
Mm-hmm.
of they kind of award you that. Now I had no idea that they did that. It was something they kind of surprised me with. Um, but what I do with that money and what I've done since I started this business is I reinvest into the business. It's always been about growing the business. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
start actually taking a salary from the business probably until last year,
Last year,
right? Yeah. So I had
and you have
already
like
been
10
doing
years,
it
no?
for, I've been doing it for about 10 years. Yeah, so but last year was probably the first year that I actually started taking a salary. And I did that purposely because again, my focus was I wanted to grow the business. My thing is to do something that's gonna last for a really long time. I want something that's gonna continue to generate revenue. And I didn't want to just kind of be here one day and go on the next. So everything has been about just reinvesting into what I, wanted to do, coming out with new products, diversifying, doing a book, creating other things. So that's how I really utilize the money up until, even now, I still put a lot of money back into the business because at the end of the day, you want to grow it. You want to, get the most out of your business, which it helps too. I mean, I talked about having a job. There's nothing wrong with having a job. So at the end of the day, I still have a job and a paycheck if I, chose to, only do that. That definitely helped with me being able to, put money back into the business. Does that answer the question, Alan?
The first question.
Okay. What was the other one?
um, the main one was about repeat customers
Okay.
versus
That,
the new customers.
gotcha.
Because
So how do
look, this
you?
is what have you seen? Excuse me. Let me see if you can
Okay.
see me. Because right now I'm doing like the printing, like the printing site. I'm still having gone
Okay.
digital, and
Okay.
so if you by any chance know of what would be a better strategy, right? I feel like this is tactical, like baby steps. What I'm doing right now,
Okay.
uh, but what if I only have like in reality I only have like a limited budget, like to reality. What
Okay.
would be better, to go after the repeat customers or to go after the new customers, or both? Or
So this
in
is
your
this
opinion,
is
because you said reinvest and reinvest, and I do agree, but that's like me saying multiple income streams, but I don't like
uh-huh.
specify. You did, but
I
like an
got you.
example.
That's a great question. Now I'll tell you exactly. So when you're dealing with, I talked a little bit. I talked briefly about like customer service and things and how you run your business
Customer
earlier in the
service.
conversation. So those people that are already purchasing your product from you, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, I can guarantee you that if your customer service and your product is superb,
Uh-huh.
like it's top notch, and they are happy with that product, I can guarantee you that they're going to continue to come to you. And not only will they continue to come to you, but they'll tell somebody about what it is that you do. Self like that type of promotion, word of mouth advertising is going to be your absolute best form of advertisement. I don't care what, I don't care, what, like, so I've had a commercial that was also shot by HEB, where they spent a lot of money on a commercial. It did great for sales and everything, but even something like that does not compare to what word of mouth advertising does. The people that
Word of
have,
mouth.
yeah, word of mouth. Because if when people say, hey, you know what, try this sauce. If your friend comes up to you, Alan, and says, hey man, I need you to try this. This is it. You need to try this. 9 times out of 10, because you trust this friend, what are you gonna do?
Yes,
Even
gonna
even
try it
if
out.
you
It's
exactly, even if you
even
don't
if I
like
don't
it.
like barbecue sauce, I'm just gonna try it.
Exactly. And then once you taste it and you say, you know what, this is pretty good. I would eat this. Now you got
Yes.
something new. Now that barbecue sauce has a new customer because now you were able to try that. So with your print business, if I like what I got, if I was able to, I'll give you an example of like what I look for when I do business with people. If I can contact you, when I have questions about the product, if I can actually get somebody on the phone when I call, if I have an issue with my product and I say, hey, you know what, can you fix this or whatever, and the person is like, okay, yeah, that's not a problem, we'll take care of it. Like the service that you provide, the quality of that product that you produce Those things are so important when it comes to being able to retain customers and also gain new customers, because you never want to not be, in the market for new customers. We all want to grow. But if you focus on, what you're doing and being the best at that, 9 times out of 10, that in itself is actually going to generate some of those new customers that you're looking for. Now, don't get me wrong, you still need to be reaching out to new customers, finding ways to reach customers. Social media age, now you can reach tons of people, with the click of a button. There's many ways that you can go about doing that. But I would definitely recommend just really making sure that your service and your product is top notch, and letting that do a lot of the speaking for you, and getting a lot of that word of mouth, referrals and things of that nature. Make sense?
Yes, yes. Have a good
So,
product. If there is
so
any issues, fix them. And
yep,
three, I just got those 2 points. Just quality of the
yeah,
product, and then there's any issues to fix the problem.
yeah, and being transparent. A lot of
Transparent.
time, yeah,
Honest.
because your customer wants to be able to trust that, I can trust that my product is going to be good. I can trust that if I have any issues, I can call them without any problems. I just want to be able to trust that I'm spending my money, and it's not, going to waste. And that building that rapport with your customers is going to be huge.
Thanks so much.
Definitely.
I appreciate it. It
Yeah,
sounds
no
so
problem.
obvious and so common sense, but
It is.
it never occurred to me. Never occurred to me.
It's very common sense, but you'll be surprised how many companies pay no attention to that. One of my biggest things that I hate, my pet peeve, is not being able to talk to somebody on the phone when I have a question about something I just ordered, or somebody that I'm doing business with. So for me, on my bottle, on my website, you have my direct contact information. So if
Oh wow.
anybody ever needs to call or has an issue with anything, they're able to call me directly or email me directly, and I'm the one that responds and gets back to those people, because I want to make sure that they understand that, like, their 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 uh their support is very valued. Their business is valued. I really value what it is that they're actually taking the time to spend their money with me.
Hmm.
Yeah. So definitely. Good question, man. Good question. Now, do you have a website and stuff, Alan, for like what it is that you do? Or how
No,
do
no.
people contact you?
Everything's offline. Everything's
Okay.
offline for the moment because I used to have a someone to do the digital, but they moved.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
but uh, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to making a website and stuff because I cannot be 24/7 with people, and
Okay.
even
I'm
if I
gonna
wish.
I'm gonna share something with you in the chat. Wix.com is a really good place to start, like a website or something like that. The reason I like Wix,
Yes.
because it's very user friendly, um, and you can
Mm-hmm.
do it for free uh, initially, and then if you want to pay for the yearly subscription, you can once you get to a certain point. Um, I definitely used the free site for some time before I started paying for the subscription, but it's a minimal cost. You're talking about maybe $100 and something for the year, so it's not like a major cost. You look at something like that as really cost per se. Those are investments and reinvestments in your business. But you can
Yes.
definitely use the free version until you know you're ready. Hmm.
Okay, so Lamar
Cool, you got it, man.
extraordinarily generous with his time. So I think we should
Miss
probably
Luis
shut it
Solis.
down there.
All right, Luis, how you doing, Luis?
I am doing good. How are you?
Awesome.
And then they accomplish their dreams. They experience something called imposter syndrome, and if so, how did you overcome it?
All right. So first of all, you have to explain to me what imposter syndrome is, because I've never heard, never
Uh,
heard that.
so
I can
yes.
Go
Um,
ahead. Tell me what it is, because that's a new term for me.
so imposter syndrome is defined as the idea that you've only succeeded due to luck, and not because of your talent or qualifications. Like when you doubt yourself.
Uh,
And apparently, it's a real big problem that a lot of people, like medical students, executives, marketing managers, and engineers, experience. And
okay.
even STC is having like a session to show people how to
Uh-huh.
deal with that. And I think next week. And yeah,
Okay. So imposter syndrome. So basically feeling like uh I'm not, I'm really not, like, this success is not the success is not, I don't deserve it. Um it's kind of hard, and again, everybody's situation is different. I told you a little bit about my background, right? Where I come from, how I grew up.
yes,
So every single thing that I've gotten up until this point has been something that I've really had to work hard for. So I'm in a position to where I never feel like I don't deserve it. I do feel like, I could be doing more. Um, and now I kind of get to those points where, okay, now I've accomplished this goal that I set. What's next? How do I continue to grow? How do I continue to elevate? I definitely think it makes a difference when you really have to work for something versus something almost kind of being handed to you. I can understand you having uh, that complex or having that problem and not feeling like you deserve it. But when you really work for something and you've given it 100% and you've done like your absolute best to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, uh, I don't see how you would feel like, hey, I just don't deserve this, unless you know somebody gave it to you and you can kind of say technically I really don't deserve this. Um, but if you're working for it and you're putting the work day in and day out, I don't really see how that happens. But I can't say that I've experienced a situation where I felt like I didn't deserve it. For me, it's actually been a complete opposite. I feel I can remember not having, when I was younger and feeling like, man, I deserve more than what I'm being given right now, like than what's being presented to me. Like I deserve better. Why shouldn't I be doing this? Why shouldn't I be making this amount of money? Why shouldn't I be successful in my music career or whatever. And it had everything to do with understanding where I came from and, what the situation was and just really feeling like, hey, I deserve better than this. So just working really hard for it. Hope that answered your question. But I guess when you get into that point where you're feeling like uh, you don't deserve it, maybe that's a really good time to kind of re-examine, you know, what it is, like what the reason was, like why you started to do whatever that is that you're doing, whether that's being an engineer or whatever that, dream is that you're chasing, kind of remembering why you started, because that's going to also be important, just understanding your why. Like right now, my son is going to be 6 in February. uh, I already had some, I guess, some drive and some felt like there was a sense of urgency. But when my son was born, oh, that completely changed the entire game and the entire purpose. Now it was no longer about me and what I wanted to accomplish and the things I wanted to do for people. It was like, okay, my son is here now. Now I really have a responsibility, so he's a constant reminder of why I do what I do, and me wanting to be in a position to have him reap the benefits of some of the work that I've put in over the years, so he doesn't have to really struggle as much as I did coming up. Does that make sense, Luis?
Yes, thank you so much for your feedback. Your story is truly inspirational, and thank you for all your
I pre
advice.
Cool, man. I appreciate you, man. I hope it helps, man.
Okay,
Cool,
so
cool, cool.
let's go ahead and shut down. Lamar's been extraordinarily generous with his time, and we've actually taken more of his time than we thought we would. Everybody,
I told you it probably would. That's a good thing. Questions are
and
good,
you
man.
are
When they're not
extraordinarily
asking
generous,
questions, that's the fun.
and these have been extraordinarily good questions and answers, and I think it's been a very productive
Definitely,
session. And so
definitely.
let's all join me in thanking Lamar for joining us this evening. And
No problem. No
Thank
problem.
you.
No problem. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
we're going to call the session to end. And
Okay. And one thing you can do too, Joe, if you don't mind, you can definitely, and you guys already have it too. So my website, I'm very accessible, very easy to get in touch with. So if you guys have questions beyond tonight and you want to reach out, you can definitely email me or anything or contact me via the website, and I'll get back to you on those questions.
awesome. And we'll post that on the website with the videos when we post your videos up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Y'all have a great evening and keep winning and keep
Likewise.
dreaming big.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lamar.
Thank you.
Definitely. All right, no problem. Y'all have a good evening. All right, thank you.
How many people?
All right, bye.
Like 7.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, I mean, that was a really, really great webinar.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you all for joining us. I meant to say that, but I forgot, and I have
Thank you,
gone.
Jose.
Yeah.